If you've been following along with this series of videos about the AuctionMethod timed online auction system, then you'll already have seen how to create an auction and add items to it. You will also have seen a video about the user's experience, how people bid on the platform. And today we're going to cover invoicing, the invoicing of an auction that has recently closed. For example, this one right here, this little groovy liquidation sale that we'd created a while back. We're going to go ahead and we're logged in as admin already, so we're going to click on the admin link. Here's our auction, a little liquidation sale. You'll notice some basic information about the sale displayed here, the day and time it started, day and time it ended, the fact that it's closed. You'll notice the status. And this figure here is the sum total of the high bids at the auction. This is how much your auction generated. This other figure over here, though, is the sum total of the user's proxy bids, meaning that that's actually how much your bidders said they were willing to pay, meaning that you can compare these two figures and get an actualization rate for your auction, which is a good indicator of what kind of competition you had there. In this case, we're interested in invoicing, so we're going to go over here to this gear icon and click on invoices. There are no invoices here because we have not generated them yet. We'll just click on this little link here to do that. And now you'll see basic information about the invoices that were generated. In this case, let's say that you wanted to figure out a little bit more about who these bidders are. You could click on this question mark. You would see more information, basic stats about the user. If you wanted to, you could log in as an administrator of their account and make changes there directly. You could send them an email right there, but that's not. We're not interested in doing that right now. Everything looks good. You'll notice that you have both the invoice total and the balance due in case people have made partial payments. And this number here, 0, is the number of times that an email with a copy of the invoice has been sent to the bidder. In this case, none, because we want to give you the opportunity to edit or delete an invoice prior to sending them out to all of the bidders. But everything looks good, so we're going to click on this button that says email invoices, and you'll notice that this number has changed for everyone because everyone has received a copy of their invoice. You won't duplicate it, by the way, if you click that button again. At this point, you can send emails individually if you want to, but everyone will have received a copy of it. Let's say this Deborah Smith here, after the auction, she calls in and she says that she's a reseller and therefore she wants you to remove the tax from her invoice. After seeing a copy of her reseller's license, you remove this tax and that's taken care of. Let's say, though, that they discovered something at the auction site that had not been in the catalog, but Deborah really wants it, and so you're going to add a new item to her invoice. And let's say you charge her $25 for that. We're not even going to create a lot number for it. There we go. So we've added an item into the mix. And now, if you wanted to, let's say that Deborah wanted to make a partial payment, we're going to go ahead and click here. She came in, she made a cash partial payment. Select cash as an option. She wanted to pay $500. Oh. And now her invoice total has not changed, but the balance due has. So let's say she makes another payment here with a credit card, and there you go. Now I'm actually not going to process the charge in this case, but you could if you wanted to. And this is just the remainder. She's paying the balance due on her credit card. Leave that alone. Add the payment. Now you'll notice that the invoice has been paid in full. The status has changed, and the balance due is 0. Now let's say that Deborah calls in and she needs to make some changes to her invoice. She really insists that you use her middle initial on the invoice, so you can make that change. If you wanted to, you could switch the user ID, meaning that you could make another user responsible for this invoice. You could change the title, details there. In the private comments, this is only for administrators, so now you don't want Deborah to see that, so that's why you put it in the private comments for administrators to see only. But for the public comments, you can say something like, now you've adjusted the invoice details. It's all changed. Now that you've adjusted it, you should send Deborah a copy of her invoice. In this case, because you're sending a message directly to her, you can add a message to the email. This will be in the email body. There you go. And now Deborah has received another email with a copy of her adjusted invoice. This option right here, this final one, is called the add relisting fee. A relisting fee happens when, let's say that Deborah comes along and she says that that pallet jack that she bid on in the auction was misrepresented or no good, and she absolutely does not want it, but she is willing to pay the relisting fee to get it back up on the auction block. In this case, she's going to pay a $15 relisting fee, and we'll just go ahead and mark it as paid. Of course, we'll remove the pallet jack from her invoice, and we'll send her a check for the refund. So now we've covered all the ways that you can adjust and modify an invoice. There's one other feature here, and that is to create a freeform invoice. So you click on the new invoice button, and this is a blank slate. You can add anything you want in here. You can, add buyer information for people who are not registered in the system. You can add items that have never been cataloged. Whatever you want. It's freeform. You can do with it as you please. This covers the actual invoicing features of the AuctionMethod platform. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.